Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Spaghetti Sticks Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Ruggiero, and my podcast is different from everyone else's because I like to walk and talk because it gets my energies flowing. The weather is overcast today and a little chilly. It's a little on the chilly side, not gonna lie. I have work in an hour, and this takes 30 minutes to film, so let's roll with it, right into it. So I have a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we get started, I do want to mention that I have a Patreon page, and my Patreon page, I have different level tiers. You can be a patron at different levels. And I post photos every week. I post short videos, kind of like YouTube Shorts content. And I also post weekly videos as well. So if you want to help me out, become a Patreon, see some cool content. I am moving across the country, so it's going to be a fun adventure. And yeah, so come and join and follow me through my adventures. What I wanted to start the podcast off with is talking about burnout, and burnout specifically when you're working or doing a thing where you're getting money, but it's not what you love doing. And through my, teen years and 20s, as I'm still in my early 20s, I have had to do a lot of it. I mean, every person does, right? You have to work some jobs that you just don't really prefer to, but you do it because you need that money, right? And, with that, you try to, go to this place, make as much money as you can possible, and try to just grind, right? And sometimes that grind is very taxing, especially if you're not doing something that is fulfilling to you. So it just feels like you're returning home with nothing, empty pockets. You are just out of it, and you don't feel like there's a point to this. And you're kind of just on this circuit of going to bed, wake up, work, go to bed, eat, wake up, work. It's that circuit, right? It feels like you're on a merry-go-round and you're just on this spinning cycle of never ending. Like, it's not going to end. Like, when is this going to stop? And I felt like that during a lot of my schooling too, like, high school. 4 years is a long time to spend in high school, and college too. Like, I did it in 3, but it still was very taxing. It was like, bro, what is this even for? Like, I just want to go travel. I just want to go live my life. Like, I just want to start. And it's taxing, right? Because it makes your work ethic not ethicking, right? It's not working because you don't have an attachment to it. You don't have that drive that's motivating you, that's inspiring you to get it done, right? So you're just kind of dragging yourself through this merry-go-round type track, basically. And it's super tiring and you hate it. And there's like a certain point where you just kind of have to stop, right? Or you finish it, right? Or you suck it up and you say, okay, I'm gonna wait till this, or until it's over, I'll, go and do it. And I think those are the points where I tend to give it up, right? I have to finish things that I start, whether that be a job season, whether that be, school, whatever. I got to finish it because I started it. That's kind of like the mentality I grew up with, right? So I just kind of took that and roll with it, especially as a almost newly grown up. It's hard to find that balance as well. I think pushing yourself through those months or those moments where you're not in it, not motivated, not wanting to do it another day, those are the moments where you get stronger, where you get more insight as to who you are as a person. And then it also just sucks. So I think, dead-end jobs are a thing to kind of motivate you as to if you don't know what you want to do for your life, you work a dead-end job, because then you'll fixate and you'll be dreaming about what you wish you were doing. That's always, it was a point for me, was working these dead-end endless jobs. It's my brain just didn't want to be there, so it took me into another world, and I was just imagining life outside, right? It's like imprisonment, right? In your own space, your own workspace, and you just dream. Maybe it's for me since I'm such a visual person, but all I ever did was just focus on getting out, traveling, doing things that I love, filming my experiences, and moving on to better things. And I was just fixating on those in the entire time I was working or whatever, and that kind of gave me a little push to keep going, right? Because I was like, okay, well, if I get this amount of money, I can go do this, right? And then I fixate on it. But more than anything, I just fixate on the fact of I'm a filmmaker, I'm making my money to make these films. This is what I do. This is how it is. Especially as a young filmmaker, you need that money, right? You're kind of subjected to these 9-to-5 dead-end jobs, right? And I think as of where I am right now, I'm in one of those places where I'm working a job. It's not the job for me. It's very taxing if I do it a lot. And also it's taxing if I don't get to do this stuff. I don't get to film. I don't get to, do these things. And I'm very grateful for the jobs that I'll tell them, hey, I'm a social media person, let me film some content for you. And sometimes they'll let you do it, and they'll say, oh, wow, that was great. Can you do this for us? And then it'll lead down to a path where you might make a little bit of money for it, which thankfully all of my jobs have been open to it. Well, some of them, not the retail ones, but some of them have been open to it. And it's nice because you can catch a break from the stuff that you don't like doing, and you can go and create or go do something that you like. So if your skill set is not matched up with the job that you're currently at, try to incorporate whatever your skill set is into the job. And then maybe it'll feel a little bit better. Maybe you'll want to wake up another day and do it again. At least that's kind of how it was for me. Just, stuff like that. And I definitely think that, working these jobs and doing these things and coming out in this kind of type of environment, right? This nature-y type of environment that's totally new. You just can't wait to leave. But at the same time, in the back of your head that this is going to be a nostalgic moment. This is going to be what I remember, I have these things about, some of the jobs that I worked in the past that some of them I just fantasize about, because I'm like, wow, these moments were really good. And my brain kind of gets rid of the fact of what was so bad about it. It just it doesn't even look at it. It just makes that job look, wow, I did that job. Like, it was nice, while I had it, it was good for this reason or that reason. And I am nostalgic about it. And I know this place, just being in the nature, environment that I know I'm going to miss this place. But I'm not going to miss the contents and stuff that I have to do. But I know deep down that, when I get a little bit older, I'm going to be like, I remember when, I worked this job and, I was in the hills and, there were snakes and, lizards and all this stuff. And I think as humans, we always are nostalgic about things, even if they were really crappy. I feel like that's just how it is. But for me, it's on a level where I feel so deeply these emotions. I don't feel emotions in normal people way. I feel them in the way that film describes it, if that makes sense. So if you go to a movie theater and you watch a film and you see these characters have these super dramatic emotions, that's exactly what my emotions feel like, right? I just am not able to communicate them very well to people, but that's the scale of my emotions in my brain, right? It's dramatic, it's huge, I feel things on a deep level, right? And having these nostalgic moments, it just kind of consumes me, and I'm just in that nostalgic moment, and that's all that I remember. And I'm like, wow, it was great, maybe I should go back. I do that to myself, the nostalgic hits, and then I'm like, maybe, but the thing that I have to keep myself notified of is there's a reason why, I'm not in that job anymore or with those people, because it wasn't good. So I moved myself out of it, and I think that's what happens a lot, even in relationships that I've had, with toxic people. I've been in relationships where I turned into a toxic person, and the toxic people were toxic, but after the fact I was still I miss them, really nostalgic over it, and on a deep level. And sometimes that led me to get back with people, and that was a wrong move, and I learned from that, and I learned the power that nostalgia has over my brain, at least. I can't speak for other people, but that's how it is for me. And it's just, it gets you very nostalgic, it has a tendency to draw you back to the things that you wanted to get out of in the first place. And I guess, the past could be a indicator too, things that happened in your past, and you kind of just want to hang on to that moment a little bit longer, and go back to it. But, sometimes you just got to notice the nostalgia, and you got to be like, okay, I'm going to be in this nostalgic moment for a hot second, but I'm not going to go back. And then you have to kind of remind yourself of all the bad things that happened, which, is hard, but sometimes you got to remember all the bad things to have yourself not go back to that environment where it was toxic for you. And I think that's something that I'm learning, is that once something is bad for me, I'm like, okay, let's be very, very present in the moment, and then let's move on. I could be nostalgic about it, but I'm not going to go back. And that's another thing, with being present in the moment is, I'm a filmmaker, right? So I bring a camera with me everywhere, and people nowadays and social media and all that stuff, they talk about oh, we're just living through our phone screens. We're never looking at exactly what we are in. We are always just, taking photos and videos and never really living and enjoying it. And because I grew up in a generation where it was already impacting the people who were doing that stuff, I learned a bit about it, and I've also studied it in college, right? So I have a better understanding of what social media actually does to your brain and, to people around you. And I've found this kind of balance for me because I have a camera on me all the time and I want to capture the really great moments. However, there are certain points where I put down the camera and I'm just in it. I'm in the moment. I'm in that Pinterest board, right? I'm in, the things that I came to do. I'm in it, I'm doing it. And I really think that having that present balance of, okay, I'm going to document this for later dates, but I'm also going to enjoy it where I'm at and be in it as much as possible because I know that this is going to end. And I know that, these precious life moments are going to be missed because I'm not filming and I'm not taking pictures of it. I'm not capturing it. And I think that, sometimes I'll put my camera down and Haley goes, my partner, she goes, what are you doing? Like, that was a good shot. Like, get it. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, no, like, it's okay. Like, I have enough footage. I just, kind of want to be here. I want to see it. Like, that moment right there, that moment that I just, quote unquote, missed, that moment was just for me. That was just a moment that was undocumented, unseen by anybody but me. And it's special. It really is special to think of it like that. And I'm very appreciative for those moments that I quote unquote miss, but didn't because I was there. And my brain maybe, will forget those moments as I get older. However, like, those moments are some of the best moments ever, when you're not looking through your viewfinder or your camera screen or your phone screen, It's those moments where you just take it in and you're like, wow, Like, I went to the Yosemite this past weekend and, I could have had, my camera on freaking recording 24/7, taking pictures. But some moments I just had to put my camera down and I just had to take it in for myself. I had to really just be there. And I think, since I've, grown up with social media and stuff, I've learned that balance. So I'm able to appreciate moments that are undocumented and, it's just for you. And that's something that everyone kind of needs to learn. Take a picture, yes, but also enjoy it. Live in it. Don't worry about, anything else, like where you're going to go next or, paying your taxes or who you're going with next weekend or what you're going to eat. You're just sitting in it. You're admiring it and you're just fully present. Those are the moments that that's what I live for, right? Is when you're like in a moment where you're like, man, I wish I could just live in this forever. I wish that, this moment would stay with me forever. And I could just relive it anytime I want to. And those are, what you live for, right? Like, that's super powerful, super amazing. And, as a filmmaker and a documenter of life, I, aspire to catch moments like that where you're capturing yourself just in a moment of awe of like, this is life. This is so beautiful. Like, this is our earth. Like, I aspire to catch those moments, but I don't truly ever think that I do, because like the person that's filming you or the camera that's filming you isn't capturing inside your mind. Like, it doesn't see what you see. It just shows the outside of you. It doesn't show that warm glow that, I mean, maybe in your eyes, but still it's hard to capture those really big moments. And I really do try, but I don't think it ever comes close to that moment when you're really in it. But it's close. That's the part that I love about filmmaking and taking photos, is that, you chase after these moments in life and you try to document it as best as you can, but you only get so close to it. And I guess when you look back on it, you can kind of feel those similar emotions, but nothing is like when you're there fully present. But I don't know, with all of this stuff, I'm about to head on a cross-country road trip across the United States, and, thinking about, what camera should I shoot on? Like, what would capture this better, as we are, like, looking at places to visit along the way. But then I'm like, I can't do all of this stuff because I just have to enjoy it too, Like, there's only so much you can capture. I don't know, it's hard. It is hard with this cusp of capturing moments. And circling back to the start of this podcast is, like, when you're doing something you love, there's endless amount of inspiration and motivation, right? There's those moments where you're just like, wow, like, I'm doing this for my job, And when you're working a dead-end job, it's just like, ooh, I'm not getting much out of this. And there was a quote that Jim Carrey said. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's like, you could fail at, what you hate doing, so you might as well fail at what you love. And he said this because his dad was an accountant, a bank accountant, I think, and he wanted to go to the States and do comedy, I think it was. But he never did it because he wanted the stability for his family and everything. And then he got fired as a bank accountant. And, he failed at what he hated doing or didn't like doing. Like, it wasn't his true passion, And he kind of wasted so much time that he couldn't do comedy anymore. So, Jim Carrey kind of took that dream and went for it. And, he did what he loved his entire life. That is what I want to do, right? So that, when you do things that you love, you might get burnt out, but at the same time, you can always refill your cup up, right? Your creative cup. You can, get content and inspiration from anywhere, right? But you're doing something that you love, so you have that motivation and that inspiration behind you. And it's super important to have that, And that's something that I'm learning is that, even if I don't have the money to fully do what I love, I need to make time for it. Because if I don't, then I get super depressed, super sad, and I'm like, what's the point anymore? So I think, making time for those hobbies, those passions, it really helps you out, and it fills up your cup. And, I think that eventually with time and perfecting that hobby or that skill that you have, it will ultimately lead you to a place where you could make money doing what you love. And for me, that's what I'm chasing. That's what I'm chasing with this YouTube channel. That's what I'm chasing with my Patreon page. So I'm chasing in general, right? Just making movies and doing that and making a little bit of money so I can afford food, afford a place to live. And that's always the artist's struggle, isn't it? The will to live, to create more art. Super crazy concept, but it's true. We have to do these things because if we don't, we're just gonna shrivel up and die inside. I mean, that's even true for like athletes. It's true for artists. It's true for anybody. You aspire to be something. You aspire to be, this ideal person in your mind, or you want to come to at least close as you can to that ideal person. And that's your goal, and that's what you go after. Some people make it, and some people die trying. And some people don't try at all. And that's when those like quotes of like, what ghosts are going to be around you on your deathbed, right? The fear of doing something new that could have skyrocketed your career, or, the failure of even trying. I don't know. Maybe I just think too deeply about these topics. Maybe I just have these like small epiphanies of like things that I've learned. Maybe it's nothing. I don't know. I could be just talking garbage. I don't even know. But I enjoy talking about these topics because, sometimes people will comment and be like, I get it. Like, that's very true. Or they'll talk about their own experiences. And I appreciate that, because the more we share our experiences, the more we learn. We can take others' experiences and apply them to our lives, things to do, things not to do. It's all just life, and we're living in it, and we're breathing it, and I don't want to waste any time because moments are precious, and they're waiting to be captured, and I want to continue doing this for as long as I can because it makes me happy. It truly does. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, give it a like, comment, and share. And if you're on Spotify, give it a 5-star rating. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same, if you're going through a similar experience, or if you got out of an experience like that. Let me know. I'm currently still trying to chase that dream. I'm ending one chapter of my life, another one, starting anew. Super excited about it, stoked to start it, and we'll see what happens. But, that's also the scary but also good part about life, is the unknown factor, I guess. But my name is Lauren Ruggiero. I hope you had a good time listening to this, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode. This was episode lucky number 10.